Rom-Com Month, everybody. We are doing 28 Days of Love, and today is day 8. I am your host, Melissa Forziat. I'm a keynote speaker. When I speak, my topic is Take the Doughnut. It's another way to say Carpe Diem. It's all about going after what you want in life. It started from this weird thing that happened in college where I left an actual donut on a table, but it became an object lesson for me and what it looks like to leave an opportunity behind. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut. Now, from time to time, I'll issue myself a Take the Doughnut challenge. I'll say there's something that I want to do, something I want to go after. I'll try to make myself brave by making it official and putting videos out to the world. And that's my way of just making sure I stick to it, stay accountable to it. And this time I'm opening up a challenge to anybody who wants to join. We're doing 28 days of love, 28 days of rom-coms. And here we are. Today is day 8. We're going to talk about Crazy Rich Asians. Now, the format of this is to share a top 10 list of things that I love about the film. When I have a guest, I typically do 5. That person typically does 5. We mix them together on the same call. And then I give you space to share the things that you love. This one's going to work a little differently. I had a chance to speak with Kwan, the author of Crazy Rich Asians, a person that I just love. Love him so much. And originally, I spoke with him to do a Take the Doughnut interview about his life, about going after opportunities in life, the biggest things he's ever gone after, challenges, motivations, things like that. He gave such a good interview. That's already dropped. So if you're here, look for that. I just dropped it this past Wednesday for those who are getting here in real time. And then at the end of that interview, I asked him for his thoughts about Crazy Rich Asians. So the way this will work is I get to share 10 things I love about the film, which is awesome because I had a really hard time narrowing it down to 10, and I don't know how I would have narrowed it down to 5. So I'm going to share 10 things I love about the film. Then I'm going to add on the part that Kevin shared the things he loves about the film, and then I'd love to hear what you love about the film. So that's how this one will work today. If you're looking just for Kwan, skip towards the end. But hopefully you want to hear the things that are so great about this film from anybody who wants to share them, including me. So first, who was part of this film? So again, we're on day 8 for Crazy Rich Asians. This came out in 2018. It was directed by John Chu, written by Peter Chiarelli, Adele Kim, Kevin Kwan. It stars Constance Wu as Rachel Chu, Henry Golding as Nick Young, Michelle Yeoh as Eleanor Young, Gemma Chan as Astrid, Awkwafina as Peck Lin, Ken Jeong as Wyman Go. An amazing cast. I could go on. I'll pause there. But that's who was involved with this. And let me get to my top 10 list here because my goodness, this film is so fun. I really had a hard time narrowing this down to 10, and I actually combined some, so I kind of fudged it a little bit. But let me tell you the things that I love about this film. Let's start with number 10. I do like that when we first meet Rachel Chu, they kind of tell you straight away how they're going to resolve sort of the final conflict in this film. So the thing that's number 10 for me is the fact that Rachel articulates in the very beginning the difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. It ultimately is an important key to the rest of the film. And it's an important setup because then by the time we get to the end of the movie, there's this nod of acknowledgement, this moment of acknowledgement between Rachel and Eleanor at the end, at the engagement party, that really feels like the resolution to this idea of playing to win versus playing not to lose. Rachel did this in the highest stakes way possible in her life. And I think it's fun that they set it up the way that they do at the beginning in the way that she's sort of teaching a class. And you ask yourself, okay, but can you really do that when the chips are down? And she can. So I think you come away from this film. I come away from this film feeling a respect for both Rachel and for Eleanor, even though, Eleanor, just a tough nut to crack. But I think the capacity that she had to be able to backtrack the way she did by the end tells me a lot about Eleanor and how she feels about Nick. Okay, number nine. I really appreciate Rachel's evolving reaction to learning about Nick's family and background and wealth status, wealth and status for that matter. Um, I feel like the way her reactions were handled in this film, they feel like reactions that I can relate to. You know, initially, she's like, "Oh, we're on a first class flight. Okay, that's interesting." She's caught off guard. She's it's curious, but it's working out okay for her. But even in the beginning, she's like, "I just would like to know what I'm getting into." She articulates that straight from the beginning. I like that she does that. And then it isn't too long before she starts to get a little annoyed with Nick. Like, you didn't warn me about some of these things. It starts turning around on her really quickly. It's not all a fairy tale. And as soon as it starts to get to that place, the sheen comes off, the sort of stunned feeling that she had at the beginning of the film comes off. And she's now saying, like, no, but really, you should have told me about this. Um, and I agree. I think Nick should have told her about all this before he did. In fact, he never really did. He just let her get on a first class flight. So I like how they handle Rachel's reactions. It feels real to me and it grounds the film. Um, but sometimes you need to have really just fun characters. So I'm going to give you number eight here. Look, feel free to insert your favorite character here. I don't know if Eddie is my favorite character, but I love Eddie. He's so committed to the things he's committed to. Things like optimal angles. He just is always constantly optimal angles. The little fight that he has with his wife at the very start, right after they take that picture, cracks me up. Um, the fact that he knows the difference of status between all the different versions of Vogue. Um, and at one point, he's talking to Nick. He's like, "Come on, did you find a shoe at midnight and jump in a pumpkin?" He just watch for all the things Eddie says and just know that it makes me laugh so hard. Um, I am sure I wouldn't want to deal with Eddie in real life, but in this movie, he makes me so happy. I'm going to stop down here for a second and say, please insert in the comments who your favorite side characters are. I'd be really curious to see if we get a consensus. I imagine a lot of people might say Astrid, but I don't know. I don't know what you're going to say because I just said Eddie. So let's just see what comes up here. Okay, number seven. I really enjoy the energy of the text and group chat storm that happens when, right after Nick invites Rachel to go to Singapore, there's just that flurry of activity that starts with Radio 1 Asia's first message. And I really like the way it was handled. I think over the years, as technology has shifted and film and TV have had to show how people communicate with each other, different movies and different television shows have handled it in different ways, and it doesn't always work. This, I think, was less about knowing exactly who was talking to whom and more about showing you the volume and the speed and the energy of it all. And I think they communicated that brilliantly. Like, this thing got out of control fast, and that is how this communication pipeline works. And as a side note to that, I love the fact that Kevin Kwan has a cameo in this part. So if you haven't spotted that before, look back, check it out again, and you will find him in there. So I love it for all of those reasons. Okay, number six. Let's talk about Peck Lin. Like, there's so many great Peck Lin moments. But I'm gonna say the fact that she has all of the outfits she needs in the trunk of her car. She's got clubbing, she's got cocktail, and she's got walk of shame. This person is prepared for the walk of shame, which isn't actually a thing. You shouldn't be prepared for that. That's the point, but she is because that's her. So I really like that detail. But there are so many great moments. Awkwafina nailed it with this character. She's a lightness that this film actually really needs because it goes to a slightly more serious place than a lot of rom-coms tend to do, and I'm going to get to that later. All right, number five. Um, Nick's face when he sees that Rachel somehow found, well, first of all, he sees Rachel in this beautiful blue dress at this wedding. And then he sees that she somehow found a seat next to Princess Anton, who is in a row by herself. And Rachel just strikes up a conversation, like the brave character that she is. That moment that Nick sees her. I mean, Rachel in the blue dress by itself could have been a number. The fact that she approached Princess Anton could have been a number by itself. But then just to see Nick's reaction to it all, he's like, this is why I love this woman so much. All of these things. So I'm going to roll all of that into number five. And it's my understanding that after Crazy Rich Asians came out, that blue dress became like a frequently imitated look for children's Halloween costumes and stuff like that. And I just love that. What a moment. So good. Okay, number four. I really love the cultural references in this film. And I love them so much because I don't know them. They're not my culture. And I get just a little sneak peek. I know this is a movie. And in fact, if you have spotted anything that's inconsistent with how you have celebrated or experienced any of these things, I'd love to hear about that. Because I think that's why movies and TV shows are so important. They give us windows into things that we don't really experience ourselves, and maybe it gives us a chance to understand them a little bit more. So I am of Italian heritage, and I have had plenty of opportunities to see Italians and Italian culture represented on TV and in film of all kinds. Mostly not in a positive light, but it's hey, that's how it works. But I feel like I'm getting a window into something that I don't often get to see with this film, and I really love that. There are probably a lot of details that I missed, but one of the things that I wanted to bring up here is there's like this little throwaway joke from Wyman Go. Um, Rachel says, because they're talking about the dress that she was going to wear to that sort of opening reception. She says, I thought red was a lucky color. And Wyman says, yeah, if you're an envelope, zing. I know enough about red envelopes to know the why that's a joke, but I feel like I probably missed a lot of things. But the things that I got to look at, I really appreciate. I also liked that wrapping dumplings together was a whole scene of this movie. Just stuff like that. Like in Italian culture, it might have been a whole bunch of people making lasagna, except you don't get a whole bunch of people making lasagna. You get one person, in my experience, you get one person slaving away over the stove making lasagna, and then everybody else just eats it. I love that this particular tradition, we experience it through this film as a very people-oriented activity. A whole bunch of people get together, and there's like an education process that happens through it. So the cultural references are something that mean a lot to me in this film. And if you have had these experiences, or if you've had different experiences, if you don't agree with these experiences, share that in the comments. I would love to hear more. I'd love to learn a little bit more. Okay, number three, the generosity of Pecklin's family and the gravity of the secret that comes out. Um, to me, this movie goes to a harder core place than a lot of rom-coms choose to do. This isn't just Rachel and Nick got in a fight and broke up. This isn't just Rachel and Nick got maybe cold feet or questioned their commitment and broke up, and now they're pining over each other, and one of them has a realization and runs to the airport. This isn't that movie. This is a movie where Eleanor dug up the darkest family secret that Rachel doesn't even know she has and shakes up her entire life, shakes up her very fundamental understanding of who her family is and what they're about, and just says, here, this is how I'm going to break you and Nick up. And, the fact that you don't really like Nick feels so helpless in this situation. Has he done anything wrong? Well, he could have warned Rachel about his mom, his situation, but ultimately, would that have changed this? Probably not. You can't really fault Nick for this happening exactly. Like he's just a bystander, just like anybody else. He wants to help Rachel. He hasn't stopped loving her. Rachel hasn't stopped loving Nick. She's just very aware that this is too much. This is way too much. Um, I appreciate that this film goes to this really uh fundamentally earth-shattering place for Rachel and then tries to bring it back at the end. And so I like that seriousness, and I love the fact that she has a place to be. And it's not just going to vent to her best friend. She goes to Pecklin's house and the entire family is there for her. So to me, that's a really sweet thing to see. Um, okay, so that's number three. Number two, so it's on my bucket list to actually see the Super Tree Grove in Singapore in the Gardens by the Bay. And I haven't gotten there yet, but at least this movie took me there for a second. What a beautiful place that looks like. Oh my goodness, still on my bucket list. I want to get there. I mean, I guess number two is really short, but that's it. That's what it is. Thank you, Crazy Rich Asians, for taking me to see the Super Trees. Um, so wonderful. And this all brings me to number one. And I mean, this has to be number one. The whole wedding ceremony, once it starts. I'm not necessarily a sucker for weddings, but every time I see this film, this wedding makes me cry. Every time. Kina Grannis singing I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. Got to be the most beautiful version of that I've ever heard. Um, Araminta walking on water. Okay. The second the water floods the aisle and it lifts all the flowers, and there are flowers along the sides, and people have, I don't know what those are. They're holding flowers themselves or fireflies. I think they're flowers. I don't know. It's so beautiful. This movie is beyond opulent. I probably should have made opulence its own number. I'm just sort of pushing it into this one. I think we watch this film because we want to see the opulence come to life. And I'm putting it into this wedding because this wedding just blew my mind. I can't even believe it. Doesn't matter how many times I see this, it still makes me tear up. What a beautiful ceremony. And I almost, yes, there's these beautiful looks between Rachel and Nick, but but just the environment they created for this wedding just kills me every single time. That's my top 10 list. Um, so now let me hand this over to Kevin Kwan, who had some things he wanted to share about this film. Remember, Kevin Kwan is the author of Crazy Rich Asians. I had a chance to do an interview with him at about his life, about opportunity in life, things he's gone after, challenges, things that motivate him. I've already dropped that interview. I'll be sure to link it here, but I also had a chance to speak with him at the end of that about what he loves about Crazy Rich Asians, the movie, and he shared some really fun things with that. So let me cut to him so you can see what he had to say. Okay, so you've heard my 10 things I love about Crazy Rich Asians, but we have a very special treat because I'm talking with Kevin Kwan, who is the author of Crazy Rich Asians. And Kevin, I'm really interested to know, what are some things that you love about Crazy Rich Asians?
Wow, what an unfair question because I'm probably the person that loves the Crazy Rich Asians, the movie more than anyone else in the world. I mean, it's just what a amazing privilege to see a book you've written being brought to life on screen in such a beautiful way. So it's just where to begin, right? I guess for me, there's the wonderment of seeing these amazing actors bring characters that you've made up in your head to life. To watch Michelle Yeoh, for example, bring Eleanor Young to life, to see Gemma Chan channel Astrid, and do it so beautifully and in ways that were so unexpected for me, but yet I was like, wow, they really got the character and the essence of these characters. I mean, so it's lovely to see that, and it's also lovely to see how the movie really kind of was groundbreaking in the way it changed things for so many actors in Hollywood, right? And changed the space for Asian actors, Asian directors. Look at John Chu and what's become of his career. It's crazy with his amazing success with Wicked and Michelle Yeoh winning an Oscar and Jimmy O Yang and Ronnie Chang and the list is long. Like literally every actor in the movie has gone on to have amazing, amazing opportunities. And so I'm so grateful that that has opened up that world for them and for other, actors of color in that space who are doing amazing things. Um, and the other aspect I really love about the movie is John Chu did something very sneaky and very, really fun for me. He snuck in a lot of family photos throughout the movie. So when I see the movie, there are moments where I see my grandparents, you know, in picture frames in the background of the house in the movie. There's even a picture of my dad as a little boy in one moment, in the party scene when our character Rachel Chu is at the bar with Oliver Sien. Like you see my dad at the back. So there's these lovely personal moments that for me, I will always treasure.
I didn't realize that that was in there, so now I'm gonna have to watch it again and look for all of those instances. This is Kevin's family,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, whenever you see a black and white photograph in the distance, in the background, chances are it's straight from my family photo album. So that was really, truly so meaningful and so unexpected. And what a lovely surprise to sort of discover that in the movie.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for putting that work out into the world for a movie to be made about it to begin with. And this was such a pleasure to be able to add some of your thoughts to the 10 things that I love. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Okay, everybody. How great is Kevin? He shared some things there that I didn't know about this movie. And so now there are things that we can all look for, including, the family pictures. And so that's the 10 things I love about the film. That's some things that Kevin Kwan loves about Crazy Rich Asians. And now the question is, what do you love about Crazy Rich Asians? I really would love to hear from you. Please share in the comments anything that you love about this film, your favorite characters, whatever comes up for you. This is a great place to talk about this movie and appreciate what we have. So that's Crazy Rich Asians. Now, next time on Rom-Com Month, it's going to be day 9. We're going to talk about Sleepless in Seattle. We're going in the Wayback Machine here to 1993. This one is a Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan classic. It has Bill Pullman, Rosie O'Donnell, and I'm going to be joined once again by special guest Anjl Rodee of BrushCapades, I know her from Seattle. We both lived in Seattle. And so there's an appropriate nature to all of the movies that Anjl picked with me here. You might remember her from doing 500 Days of Summer. Um, so that's not the only movie she's even going to cover here. We're also going to talk about Benny and June. So next time is going to be day 9. We're going to talk about Sleepless in Seattle. So get ready to talk about that film. And in the meantime, happy rom-com month, everybody. Get love, get donuts. Bye.